Yeah, it's a whole new world out there with all of the compliance going on, and it's getting obtrusive. You know, and as a matter of fact, it's just so much stuff going on. But we got to do what we got to do relative to FINTRAC, guys. Make sure that you're filling in the complete form. Don't leave any blanks in it. If you ask your client for information, like for example, we have to say where the money's coming from. So if it's a bank draft, you have to put, you know, from Royal Bank account number, whatever, savings account for, you know, Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, whatever, and an account number on there. If they don't want to provide that, we can't force it. We're not police. We're not the government. And but do put in there, you know, ask client, refuse to provide it. And that's all you can do. But you need to put something in there. And for occupation, if they're retired something, retired homemaker, retired teacher, retired accountant, whatever it is, try and fill it in as much as you can, because you know what they're going after some of these companies for is they leave them blank. They leave these spaces blank. And you don't want to, if it's not blank, at least we asked. That's all we can do. They can't really come after us for asking. And our client said, no, we can't force them to do whatever. I mean, we're realtors. That's all we are. So, but do fill in those forms completely. Make sure you're doing the checklist and all that. Daisy or Conveyancer is under instructions to send them back if they're not filled in completely. So, and that's because of compliance. That's because of the FINTRAC people went after an office in North Van there, and they found all kinds of blanks and missing things, and they charged the company $78,000 or some crazy thing, you know, as a fine. So I mean, we really can't afford to get a fine like that. It's just ridiculous. I mean, for those kind of things. So we're really enforcing that, guys. So just so you know, for your compliance and your forms, filling them out, especially FINTRAC, it's very, very important. They seem to be gaining some teeth. I think they fined the TD Bank 700. What was it? Do you remember that, Paul? They caught them for something, and it was a big fine. It was like in the millions, I think.
Yeah, I think a few banks got fined recently for various things, but yeah, it was substantial. I'm not sure
Yeah.
they felt it really, but and who knows where the money goes, but
Yeah, 7 million is nothing for the TD. I mean, that's just a drop in the bucket. But I think that the thing is out there that the FINTRAC people are on the warpath, and they're starting to make examples of other companies. But to go after a real estate company because you guys, you know, didn't fill in, you know, what you know, what their previous occupation was, and you put retired in there, you know, that's a big stretch. I mean, you know, they're just going after the little guy on that one there, and I don't really feel it's fair. But I don't control that. We just kind of want to make sure that you guys and the company in general is doing everything we can to, you know, to mitigate any of these problems, and to do our part in the money laundering thing, and try and, you know, watch out for things like that. But we'll do what we can. Just kind of going on that. Just talking to Paul. Paul, why don't you give us an update on mortgages? What's going on with that, and what's happening in that realm there?
yeah, interest rates seem to be dropping just as quickly as they went up a year and a half ago. So that's good news. It's making houses more affordable for clients. We're in the mid fours now for longer term 5-year money. The variable rate is coming back on as an attractive product. It wasn't nice for a couple of years, but it is something that more clients are looking at. We've had a 75 basis point drop in prime this year, which was a lot, and we're expecting at least another 50 before the end of this year. And the outlook in the next year is between 1 and 1.5%. So if that happens, it's kind of funny. Rates went way up very quickly, and they're coming down just as fast. So it'll remain to be seen what effect it actually had on anything at all, other than causing a year or 2 years of pain for everybody. So good news, rates are coming down. There's no outlook that I can see or read or hear about that would indicate otherwise.
What is the qualifying rate now? Is it still 2% higher than the contract rate, or what's up?
Yeah. So technically the qualifying rate is either 5.25 or 2% over contract. So as long as fixed rates are over 3.25, we're going to have contract plus 2. If rates come down, it'll stay at 5.25.
And it seems to me that a 3-year would be probably a good option right now because it's a lower rate and it's a shorter term. And, if the rates do go down, like you say, in the next year and a half, you'll be able to take advantage of that sooner. What's the best 3 you can do right now?
I've seen 3 years at 4.69. And these are changing daily, and we're getting exceptions on live deals with lenders, so they're unadvertised. I had a client tell me yesterday that Scotiabank quoted them a 3-year at 4.39, which I don't believe, but I'll be calling my Scotiabank rep today to find out if that's a thing, because that would be the lowest 3-year rate we've seen for a long time. Yes, 3-year rates are popular. It does give the client, I personally wouldn't take a 5-year rate right now. I'd take a 3 or less. But I'd also probably have a close look at the variable rate for 2 reasons. Prime is expected to drop. The second reason is if I need to move out of it, it's only a 3-month interest penalty. And I can wait it out. And if rates do come down substantially in the next 6 months, I can lock in with that lender at a term that I would have paid more for today and lock in 6 or 12 months.
What's the current rate for a variable best rate?
Insured through CMHC or any of the insurers would be prime minus 1.15, which gets us mid 5s right now. And uninsured is approximately prime minus 0.7. I say approximately because uninsured stuff we can tend to, depending on the deal and the size and the closing date, we can often go to Treasury and get lenders.
You still have to go to, qualify at 2% over whatever rate you're getting in that case? Or is it?
Yeah. You're
So
still
they're going to be qualifying.
plus.
The problem with that, the prime right now is you got to qualify at 7%.
Yeah, you'd be 7% roughly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the only prohibitive thing is you can't qualify for it.
True. Yeah. I mean, with my clients, I'm not recommending prime to somebody that's sort of on a fixed income that can't afford to take risk. So when I'm talking about variables with some of my clients, they can well afford the property, and there's a little room there in case something happens. So.
And what about first-time buyers? Are there any incentives for them? I know that they changed the registered retirement savings plan to 60. Is that you can now use 60,000 of your RSP now? Is that correct?
I believe so. I don't see a lot of that because we don't do a lot of insured mortgages in Vancouver, to be honest. But yes, it was increased for the first-time home buyer. The other stuff isn't creating much of an impact. The first-time home buyer account or the shared equity that the government had, they pulled that anyway. But they desperately need to increase the threshold of insured mortgages from 1 million to 1.5. It's not doing any good at 1 million in Vancouver or Toronto.
Yeah. Well, and they also maybe have a look at that, qualifying rate too. I mean, it went up along with the rates and it just went outrageous. And I mean, now that they're coming down, and I suspect we'll get back to the 40-year mortgages and all this other crap, and it's going to go all over again. It's just another cycle.
Very, very short-term memories. Yeah. The new government will create all sorts of new opportunities for everybody.
We'll have an 80-year mortgage, so you can, your kids can inherit your mortgage and everything else. So we'll see how that goes. We'll keep an eye on that. So it can be an interesting winter and fall here for everybody. How's everybody else doing? Anybody want to share a listing you got or anything like that? I need a listing to use for our Snapstats. So speak up. Amir, come on, where are you? What are you doing out there? Where's Robbie's? She's walking. Karen, I don't know what you're doing.
Hi.
Gavin, I'm gonna pick on you. You're only one you and Nira's the only one with the cameras on. You got a listing, Gavin?
No, I don't have a listing, but like last week, we talked about the pending deal. Now it's firmed, so that's good.
What sorry, it was a couple weeks ago now because we had a holiday in there.
Yeah, true. So that one's firm. So now I'm back into just looking for a client and looking for property for clients, but no listing at the moment. I did talk to a potential client that they would like to list, but not right now. They would like to get the house renovated first and touch up a little bit, and then make it prettier. and then it will be getting listed maybe in the fall, like
Okay.
late fall.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. We had our long weekend there. I hope you enjoyed it. And our summer is kind of waning a little bit here. Got a nice couple of, I think we got a nice weekend coming up. And the weather, you can start to feel it a little cooler in the evenings and stuff like that. So I think it's time to get back to work. And you know, time to start setting up all of your you know, setting your goals again, and you know, making a business plan for the fall. I think that you know, it's been kind of quiet for a while there, but with interest rates on the fall, they're falling a little bit. I think we're going to see a little bit more action on the buyer side. Currently, you know, the market is still, you know, we have low sales and high inventory coming out, so there's a bit of pressure on the pricing, but the pricing isn't really going anywhere. It's holding pretty steady right across the board. So we don't have to worry too much about that. But if it maintains the way it is, we'll start, you know, people are going to have to sharpen their pencils, because eventually there's those that don't have to sell, but there's those that do have to sell. They've either bought a new home, they've moved out, they're transferred, whatever they're going to do. And in order to move that property, they're going to have to sharpen their pencils and drop their prices a little bit more. So I figure that probably with this election coming up in October, the buyers are still going to be sitting on the sidelines. So we've got another month to go before, you know, things start to change and people start to get going again, and you know, get serious about buying. And even if they have to buy a little earlier than they normally would, they're not going to wait, like Paul said, for another year to kind of wait for that interest rate to drop again. In all likelihood, the serious people will start, you know, back into the market, you know, end of October, November, and kind of, we should have a late fall market, but a good fall market. So I would be planning for that if I were you guys. I'd be setting up my goals, and people like Amir and those guys, you know, you want to have your website all ready to go, and all your marketing material good to go. And then, you know, just get out there and pump up the volume a little bit. You know, talk to your clients, pick up the phone like Mike says, and start calling all the people you know and saying that, you know, here I am, what's going on, and start sending out little newsletters and whatever you can. But you want to have your goals set, and you want to have that in place for now. And I know it's hard to practice something when there's nothing going on, but it's really important to get, you know, get all your marketing material out there and ready to go now, because when it kicks in, you're going to be too busy to deal with it. So, and the better you do your homework now, the better you're going to be when you know, people start calling and picking up the phone and trying to find a little bit more information about it. You've got it all. So part of that is your marketing plan should be your stats. And today we're going to be talking about the real estate board stats, and those go out to everybody. So the news guys got it already. I'm watching the news, and they're talking about, you know, the market and everything like that. So they're getting what we're getting from the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver, which is you know, the stats package. You all got that. It was sent out in an email as well. The part they don't necessarily have is what we call the Snapstats, and those are an additional publication that you got to pay for extra. So I send you guys a copy of mine. It's not to be distributed to your clients. It's got my name on it. But you can certainly, it's just for demonstration. So I can show you how to use them and how it might help your business. If you do want to use something like that, you know, subscribe to it, and, you know, get your own with your own name on it. And you're more than welcome to send that to all your clientele. So don't send the ones that I'm sending you out. Those are for demo only. But if you do like what you're seeing and you want to add some value-added services to your products, and do put that out there and get it out there, because it does look good on you. The more information you put out there, I think the better off you are. And that's all we can really do for people right now, is give them, you know, value-added services and information on the market and what's going on in their market. And what I would do, you know, your mail list, some of you guys, you know, the more experienced realtors might have a larger mail list, but for most of you guys, you probably have, you know, 20 to 100 people. So, you know, if you know what area the guy's in, you can highlight that area and send it to them directly with a little comment on, here's your condo in Cole Harbor. Here's what's happening in that market right now. It's a little slow, but we expect it to pick up a bit in the fall. But, you know, just send that out there. And again, it's just putting it out there and getting that information out there. whether they read it or not, it doesn't really matter. It's you touching them and saying, hey, how are you? I'm here for you. If you ever need anything, let me know. If you don't send anything out, somebody else will. And they're going to call that other person. And we've all been there. You know, if I get an ad, from somebody and it's the top of my mind, I'll usually call that person that's in front of me, even though I know somebody from before that I worked with. So be aware of that. So thinking about that. We're going to have some upcoming programs for PDP, personal development courses. We'll be talking about setting goals and making a business plan. And that's part and package with, the fall market and so on and so forth and getting ready for the spring. And we're also going to do one on time management, how to manage your time a little better to kind of, make better use of your time. And one of the things that we talked about in that one there is what I call swallowing the frog first. And I kind of practice that every day if I can. And what that means is if you make a to-do list, and you all should be making to-do lists every other day or every day or every week or whatever, and all the things you got to do. And on that to-do list, you might have a dozen things, but what the swallow the frog thing is all about, and there's a book on it as well if you want to pick that up. What the swallow the frog thing is that you take all of that list of things to do. And inevitably in that list, there's things that you really don't want to do. It's the worst things. My worst ones are usually, calling BCFSA for a complaint. I don't like talking to those guys. So what I do is I pick the worst thing I got on my list, and I do that first thing in the morning. So if it's for you guys, if it's your 20 cold calls you got to make, or if it's, whatever it might be. But for me, usually it's BCFSA or dealing with the problem, somebody, OPP, other people's problems. I'll deal with that first thing off. And what happens after that is that normally, once you take that really tough thing off your list, the rest of the day is kind of easy. It's just a bonus. You do that and you work through it. So, think about doing that. For you new realtors, I don't know what that might be. Maybe meeting with marketing people and organizing your marketing, what you're going to do on marketing. I don't know, but try and set your goals up and make a daily to-do list and start clicking through it. We're back into the fall now. We got to get back to work. We're all had a good summer doing what we're doing, but let's get back to the basics, which is making a to-do list and going with it. Hopefully you have your goal setting and all that there. Want to kind of go, I'm going to pull up the stats here for you. Let me just make sure I got them up right. We'll kind of cover those first. I'm going to share my screen. Right here. So you all should be able to see the news release. Everybody good with that? Just a thumbs up. All right, good. Thank you, guys. Make it a little smaller if I could, so I can read it. So basically, this is from the real estate board. These are the highlights of it. Greater Vancouver Realtors reports that residential sales in the region totaled 1,904 in August 2024, a 17% decrease from the 2,296 sales reported in August 2023. This total was also 26% below the 10-year seasonal average. So sales are down. There's no question about it. And they're maintaining that. It's been like that for the last 3 or 4 or 5 months. And it probably will continue like that for another month or two anyway. And we'll see how it starts affecting. Keep in mind that the sales to active ratio, if we do the video every other week for those that are new, there's an older video on the real estate board of Greater Vancouver. If you log on there, and for Realty 101, we'll probably review the older one. It's from July, but we're doing August here now. So it says that the sales to active ratio, the number of listings compared to the number of sales, if the number of sales are greater than 20% of the listings, that's the seller's market, and that means that there's more buyers out there than sellers, and the prices are going to go up. A balanced market is anywhere between 12 and 20%. So if the sales to active ratio is between 12 and 20, you've got a balanced market and it's equal between buyers and sellers. If the sales to active ratio dips below 12%, that means that there's more sellers than there are buyers, and that'll put downward pressure on the pricing. So nobody will be able to sell. You got all this inventory out there. no buyers out there, so that people start dropping their prices and getting a little, you know, sharpening their pencils, as you say. New improved pricing, you're going to see that quite a bit out there on the MLS. That's the new catchphrase. I like that one. New improved pricing just means they dropped their price. So a good term, but that's all marketing and people doing their marketing. Anyhow, moving on, the total number of properties currently listed for sale in the MLS right now is 13,812, 30% increase compared to August 2023. The total is a 20% above the 10-year average. So we got a lot more inventory out there and a lot less sales. So our sales to active ratios are starting to drop. Across all detached, attached, and apartment property, the sales to active listing ratio for August 2024 is 14.3%. By property type, it's 9.6 for detached homes. So actually, detached homes have gone into the buyer's market now. They've gone below 12%, so they're into the buyer's market. But good news for us, we're mostly downtown, so townhomes are like 18% sales to active, and apartments are 17%. So they're still in a balanced market. And because of that, the prices are holding somewhat. They're leaking a little bit, but they're not too bad. There's nobody dropping their prices a whole lot and just going to the prices. Sales of detached homes, prices were 1.8% increase from August 2023, so they're up 1.8% from last year, and a 0.1% decrease from July. So month to month, they're down a little bit, but year to year, they're up. Apartment townhomes, you've got 1% decrease from August 2023 and unchanged compared to 2024. So year over year, they're down 0.1%, not a whole lot. Yeah, and you guys have a copy of all this, by the way. This has all been emailed to you, so if you want a further reference, you have a copy of it. So back to our sales to active. Apartments are good. The only thing that's in the buyer's realm is the attached home. So if you're selling a house, you better really sharpen your pencil on that one there. Townhomes and apartments are in a balanced market, so they're not really moving anywhere. Prices are holding as per. So nothing going on there. You can go down to the stats here, Greater Vancouver. This is the residential composite is all three. That's townhomes and apartments. And month over month changes down 0.1%. So not really significant. This is the 1 month change, 3 months, 6 months across the top. And you have the name, what area it is here, North Vancouver. Composite, all three, that's down 1.3%, 1 month over month. If you go year over year, it's down 0.9. So prices are dropping a little bit. Vancouver East, Vancouver West, same month over month. I'm kind of looking at is Vancouver East is up 0.3, Vancouver West is down 0.3. Single family detached, this is where we're moving into a buyer's market. So Greater Vancouver is down 0.1%. North Van is down 1.1%. Vancouver East, it's holding at, and it's up 0.1%, and Vancouver West down 0.1.4 month over month. So you can start picking out a trend there, and I'll show you on the Snapstats how to look at that trend and how to maybe convey that to a seller that's looking at listing their property. Townhomes leaking a little bit overall. Greater Vancouver is down 0.5%. North Van is down 1.8%. Vancouver East, Vancouver West up 0.7 to 0.8. Apartments overall about 0 month over month. North Van, it's down 1.5. Vancouver East, Vancouver West is up 0.3 and up 0.5. So prices are holding. It's kind of a holding pattern for this. I'm going to stop sharing that one. That's the overall stats, and that's the shotgun approach. So that doesn't tell you specifically what's going on in your area for your client, but it gives you an overall feel, and that's kind of what the people are seeing right now in the news. That's what the broadcasters are putting out there, the global news and all those guys. That's what they're getting. If you want to get a little more specific on these things, then you probably want to go to something like Snapstats. I'm going to pull that one up here, and I'll kind of show you the difference between the two. Let me just share my screen again. Can you all see Snapstats? Karen, are you okay there? Can you see my Snapstats?
Got it.
Okay, good, thanks. So this one here, I gotta move things around a little bit so I can read it. So when you get the your own edition of this, they're about 35 bucks a month, I think, and you can just, pick Metro Vancouver or Vancouver, Greater Vancouver or the Fraser Valley. So wherever you're working, you can get these. So but it'll have all your information on it. You can send it out to your client. If your client is here, let's say they're in Cole Harbor. I've highlighted Cole Harbor here. There was usually for these things here, you got to be careful when you're using these because they could be a bit skewed. And what I mean by skewed, if there's very few listings and very few sales, it'll report a little bit higher than it ought to be. So make sure, like in this case here, I'm using on this side here price band and bedrooms here. So 7 to 800,000. There was 120 inventory and 26 sold. That's a pretty good number of listings and sales to give you a really probably a fairly accurate sales to active ratio. If you get these, where there's only been like here 4.5 million to 5 million, there's only been 8 listed, 0 sales. Was that? I don't know if that's accurate or not. I mean, that's getting a little thin there. But what the point is here is I picked out, this is Vancouver downtown for condos and townhomes. Cole Harbor, there was 159 listed, 12 sales. That brought the sales to active ratio to 8%. That means that the Cole Harbor would be in a buyer's market. So most of, you got to be careful with that one there. And then you got to go over to the left-hand column here and look at what price range you're in. So even though Cole Harbor may be in a buyer's market, if you're in the proper price range, it might push those units that are in that price range up into a seller's market again, where you can charge a little bit more and get a little bit more in your price. So you really have to kind of dissect these Snapstats to find out and dig a little deeper as to where your property is in the realm of things, and don't just take it verbatim on what you see on the top here, like the Cole Harbor. Because if you're in a good price range, you're gonna have a more valuable property, and you're gonna maybe more desirable, not valuable, but a more desirable property where there's more buyers, and you can do a little bit better. So this is how to kind of dissect these kind of things for each individual owner. Now, if you go down to this graph here, this is kind of an interesting graph that I think that would probably be a good thing to use for a listing presentation, because generally speaking, if you look across here on this graph here, if you look over to the right here, look at the trend. The trend is kind of down. Sale price is this one here. It's the black one, and the black one's is starting to go down a little bit. So that to me, I'm just going to stop sharing that. That to me, what I'm really looking for in these graphs and stuff like that is more or less the trends. What's happening? Is it going up or down? And when I'm talking to the new guys and we're doing our CMA's comparative market analysis, when I asked Amir to send me an offer here on one of those things, I don't know if I got it yet, but the thing is, when you're putting an offer in, if the trend and the prices are going up, would your offer be maybe a little higher or a little lower than it would be, Gavin, if the trend is going up? Would you tend to offer a little more, or a little less?
A little more.
Yeah, and if the trend is going down, Amir, what would you ask? A little more, a little, maybe put your offer a little more, a little less?
For sure, less.
Yeah. So these trends are important, and it's also important for the listing for a seller to be cognizant of what's going on with the trends in the market, if they're going up or down. And I mean, I've had times in the market, and that we've all had, well, most of us that have been around, and Paul can attest to this, where the market's going up so darn fast, even if we put, on a $1 million property, if you put $100,000 more and you went, it was listed at $1 million, you had multiple offers, and you went $1.1 million. Geez, by the time you close the darn thing, it was probably up to $1 billion, $1.1 million. And we've seen that, and unfortunately, we've seen it the other way too, going the other way. But I haven't in the last 20 or 30 years, I haven't seen it go down substantially. So we were close a couple of times where, you know, the appraisal might not match out with the price you paid, but for now we're holding. But what we're looking at there is the trend, and that's an important thing for realtors. When you're trying to estimate what kind of a price to list the property at or what kind of price to pay for the property at, I think it's important to realize that the trend is which way it's going, you know, and that's, you know, whether you're going to add a little more or maybe not so much, or whether you're going to ask a little more for the property or maybe not as much. So all this information is good for your clients. They need to know that. It's them that are making the decision. It's their money. You're just providing them with the sources for all this stuff. So make sure you're providing them with accurate information going out there. So is there any questions on that going forward? Oh yeah, any just want to talk, that's about the stats. Any questions on stats? So we're good there. Mike, how you doing? You busy? You got something you want to?
Yeah, I'm always busy.
Well, no, I mean, yeah.
I've got Daniel here from Century 21 Canada. We're working together once a week on some recruiting ideas for both us and for other brokerages and for franchise sales. So I'm excited to be asked to help out that way. But yeah, I got some other stuff to do. And guys, the stats are super important. You have to know what's going on in the markets. We've always said this. It's the neighborhood that's more important than the Greater Vancouver general stats, because they don't make sense to people that are looking for specific areas. So I have a list to go through. If you're finished, Doug, I'd like to go through it.
Yeah, I got a couple things at the end, Mike, but yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. So once a week, every Monday at 11:30, I'm getting the newer agents to come in on a Zoom meeting and just tell me what happened that week and who they found for buyers and sellers and maybe some obstacles. But I'll open that up to anybody that wants to do it. We get some really good dialogue there. Amir and Gavin were on the last one, and we came up with some really good ideas about some added value to each of their customers. They both have obviously different customers, of what some more steps could be to gain the trust that you're the professional to use. So if you guys want in on that, just let me know. One of the things I got out of it as well is if you need help with anything in the Century 21 system, come to us first, ask us the questions. We can probably answer them quicker than you going into Moxie. And you don't want to go to Century 21 Canada to do it, because kind of not their role. The role is to talk to me, and they're not as hands-on into the inner system than what I am. So come to us first. It'll just expedite your efforts. And basically, if you need help, just ask. Websites, go to Angeli and myself as well. If you want to really do a great facelift on the website, there's some contractors out there that done it for us too. They don't charge you that much. They can put you on a monthly schedule or just quote you on the job, and then they're in and out. And I highly recommend that. Lead generation systems have been asked multiple times. Agent Locator and YLocal are the best ones that I've seen for the best value that service your market. Another thing that we talked about on that meeting on Monday is really qualify your customer, especially if they're buyers, who they are, obviously ID and all that, making sure that people know who you're working with when you go see a open house privately with somebody. But more importantly, you got to get your ID. You got to find out who's doing their mortgages. You got to talk to that lender to build relationship up with the Pauls of the world, so they know not to give that buyer to somebody else that they might have in their pocket. Paul would never do that, but I'm just using Paul because that mustache is getting bigger and it's distracting. So anyway, there was a little talk like that, but it's just all best practices and stuff. couple of neat things that we got to really start focusing on. We got a convention in Ottawa at the end of this month that I'm going, Heather's going, Rihanna's going, Melissa's going, and Chris Majon's going. And they're really, really good conferences, guys. And I encourage you for next year to book some time off and go. As I've always said, there's 5 key points on these conferences. It's going to make you laugh. It's going to make you cry. It's going to educate you. It's going to network you, and it's going to make you have a lot of fun. And there's business there to be had if you're not too shy to go shake some hands and pass out some cards and tell everybody where you work and build relationships that way. Because that's a key in our platform, is the referral business. You know, we're not in 84 countries for nothing. There's business out there for all the languages that you speak. Easter seals. We got to start putting a little bit more effort into Easter seals. And here's just a tip. It's a very easy tip. We have an Easter seals form that you can fill out, and on any commission deal that you have, you can put in $25 or more towards Easter seals. You'll get your tax write-off. And if we have 130 plus people here and everybody put in $50 a deal, we do 1,000 or 1,300 deals a year. That's a pretty good lift to the Easter Seals summer camp up at Squamish. And I'd really like for us to think about that. It's pennies, it's a cup of coffee for you guys, but little bits add up. So please mark that down for things to do. I've got 2 student interns that have started last week. They're from Douglas College. If you don't know, we always grab marketing students from Douglas College. They work with Angeli on our social media and video platforms. They're there for you to use. So if Gavin wants to come in and talk about whatever topic he wants, they will sit down, they will set up the room, and they will help record it, film it, edit it, give it back to him. We'll promote it. And it's free, right? So use these guys. They're really good. They're better at it than I am. This is what they're going to school for. And so if you want to know some ideas, I mean, talk about you. Talk about your neighborhood, where you live, why you like it, what are the highlights. Talk about your listing or an open house that you're about to do and the highlights for that. Talk about a great service that you experienced, whether it's a restaurant, garage, retail, and just thank that company and that person or organization on great service that they did. And then when that gets packaged up, post it and send a note to the head person at that business and say, I did a nice review. I thought I'd share it with you. You'll get a ton of traction off that. My top on my list, that is always the top of my list, is prospecting. The market is picking up, guys. I'm talking to a lot of realtors that are in other companies and other corners of the Lower Mainland, and we're starting to see a lot of traffic. Our hits on our social media, our hits on our website are starting to drastically increase, which tells me there's more eyes that are interested in real estate. So make your videos, draw some attention to your sites, and ask your sphere of influence for help. And the customers that you have, ask them if they know anybody else that's interested in your services, or can they use more of your services. Another video tip, talk about the favorite listing that you see, whether it's our listing or somebody else's listing with permission. If you've got a listing that it's an amazing value or amazing view or an amazing neighborhood, promote it. You've got followers that will trust your opinion, that might engage you for it. On social media platforms, engage your sphere of influence, meaning that if Danielle here is a realtor prospect that I know that I like, and he's doing something great, he's watching his kids play soccer, comment on it. Get your face on their sphere in a positive way. You might get more traction that way. That's always been a great idea. And then on your social media, ask questions. You won't get any engagement unless you ask for engagement. What do you think of my site? What do you think of this listing? What do you think of this neighborhood? What do you think of other great restaurants that are around that I can recommend? Ask the questions to get the people to start who are listening to you to reply to you. It becomes a little bit more fun, and you might get something extra out of it. I know you won't get anything out of it if you don't do it. So there is my social media video comments, suggestions, come to Jesus chats with you guys to get you to do it. And I challenge everybody on here to do one video this week and send me their example of what they're doing, and post it out there. It'll suck at the beginning. You'll get better at the end. I promise you that. So that's what I have for everybody today. Oh, and yeah, and Danielle and I are doing some recruiting stuff, like I said. And if you guys have anybody that you know that we should be talking to talk to them about the experiences here, I would love to get a text or an email or a phone call to tell me who I should call. That's it, buddy.
All right, yeah, get back at her, guys. We're all get back in your chair and get back to work, I guess. Just a couple of things. Complaints, biggest complaints I get is or complaints about other realtors is not returning calls and not communicating. So don't be that person. I've had a couple where we had a really bad turnover on a property where our guy took over and it was a mess and wasn't very happy, and it would have really helped if the listing realtor who wasn't with us had communicated that with our realtor and saying, look, there's nothing I can do. My client left it that way. I'm really sorry, but I've talked to them about it and nothing more I can do. But instead they just ignored it, didn't show up for the handover and continued to ignore it. So if you don't want to be treated that way, don't treat other people that way. So if you got a problem with a property, pick up the phone and call the other realtor. I mean, that's what rules of cooperation is all about. And say, hey, you know, Amir, I'm sorry, but it's a bit of a mess. There's not much I can do about it. I talked to my client and we had a conversation, but I can't force them to do anything. It is what it is. If you want to make a complaint, make a complaint. But sometimes you gotta swallow that frog and deal with that call. And but it's better to do that than ignore the people, because there's nothing worse, and I think Mike knows this too. If they just ignore you and they won't return your calls, there's nothing more frustrating than that, you know. And at least calling, saying there's not much I can do about it. So if anything, just make sure you're returning your calls and communication. That's your rules of cooperation. We'll go over that probably for a PDP course later on in the week, and or later on next month, and we'll do that. So
I got one more on that one, Doug. Speaking of calls, I did a lot of calls last week to realtors that I don't know, just as an introduction. And without an exaggeration, 50% of them did not have voicemail. It says you reached 778-123-4567, whatever the number is. And God, guys, that is embarrassing. I mean, don't be that realtor. Have a voicemail. It's Gavin at Century 21. Sorry, I can't take your call. Call you right back. Leave me a number and a detailed message, or text me. Whatever it is. But I want to hear from Gavin. I don't want to hear that thing saying this is the number that you called. That is, they should be out of business if they have that. Real simple. Don't be that person. There you go, Doug.
I just had one of those. I can't remember who it was. I meant to call them back and tell them to change their voicemail, but I forgot who it was now. But yeah, it's funny. Yeah, make sure it's like the signature on your email too, guys. Make sure you're always, you know, putting your name and everything on everything. All your material, all your handouts, all your feature sheets should have your name and number on it, your picture on it. Everything you have is marketing. It's your branding. Yeah, that's about it. So have a good week, guys. For those of you in Realty 101, we're going to be talking about StrataDocs. Anybody else wants to join us, you're fine. Please do. What I will do is if you've not registered in the course and you want a PDP credit, I'll give you 1 credit for the StrataDocs for next. That starts at it's 11. We'll go at about 11:10, Amir. So
I got a question for Paul. Paul, on mortgages, you gave the rates for variable and 3-year locked in, insured, non-insured. When a renewal comes, does that person have to qualify for the mortgage based on the qualifications, or is it just an automatic renewal?
Yeah, so the lender always reserves the right to relook at a renewal, but 99% of the time they'll just get a form from the lender and they'll check off which term and rate they want, and the lender will just renew the mortgage. Very, very rare that they would ask any more questions or update an application.
Okay, I had that question yesterday, so thanks,
Yeah.
Paul. And let's get back together, get the band back together, Paul. No more holidays.
Yeah, summer's over, back to work.
Okay, buddy, good to see you.
Okay, yeah, Realty 101 guys will start at 10 after. So if you're in Realty 101, we'll see you in about 15 minutes. Otherwise, have a great day, guys.